group, and Blue Cross ratified this. Also, in the past 3 years, you guys have actually had 2 or more large stop-loss claims. Now, what that means is, in Blue Cross Blue Shield, although they're taking most of the risk, they still have a stop-loss in the background that they use for groups your size. And when it hits a stop-loss, they just report that, hey, we had a large claim over $100,000. And your renewals have showed that over the last 3 years, you've had at least 2 each year, which would inflate your cost. So demographics, those large claims, and then also the richness of your benefit would predict that it would be more expensive to go self-funding. There's a last piece of that as well. In order to go self-funded, there's a, with Blue Cross Blue Shield, you have a rate reserve account, and it fluctuates between negative and positive. And right now it's in a negative situation, and they actually recoup that through renewals, fully insured. So the balance is about $500,000 that in normal course of business, Blue's just recoups that over time. If we switch from fully insured to self-funded, we have to repay that in a 3-year time frame. 50% of that debt is due in the first year. There's some wiggle room, but they're still going to want that debt covered. There's also hospital pre-funding that Blue Cross requires when you go self-funded, and that's about $150,000. So if you added those 2 up, it'd be about $400,000 in cash this year that we'd have to put on top of whatever our experience was. So this year, I don't think it's financially a good idea to switch. But we're looking at it every year, and we'll continue to monitor so that if any point in time it is, we'll definitely bring it to the forefront.
Just a quick question. When somebody retires, who pays their insurance? Does the city or does the pension fund? Or do we get reimbursed by the pension fund?
Yeah, it's a great question. The only reimbursement that we're receiving right now is through the police and fire side. The retiree benefits can be paid out of the Act 345 funding. So right now, that is the only reimbursement that we're getting in terms of retiree. The rest of the retirees fall under general fund. So
only police and fire
correct.
Are covered. Okay.
Now there is some within the general fund, world, water and sewer. There can be some funding that's allowable from water and sewer to cover retiree fringe benefits, but it's very limited, and you have to really be able to show that the person spent most of their employed time in that department to be able to make the reimbursement.
Move on. I should have actually made number 23 and number 19. So what we'll do is tonight we'll table 19 through 22, go to 23, and then if that passes, we'll go back to 19. Okay?
Well, Madam Chair, just clarification, even if it doesn't pass, you'll still have to go back and remove it from the table, but there, of course, the recommendation at that point would be to deny them all.
Right.
There would be no reason.
So, motion to approve the establishment of the special assessment district for paving Kensington Avenue. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but I did have a question. You're going to put in an 8-inch water line down Kensington, and you're going to tie it into a line on the east side of Telegraph?
Yes, and...
So you're going to go under Telegraph?
No. It'll be on the west side of Telegraph.
Oh, okay.
Correct, yeah.
And that's a 6-inch line?
Well, that's 12-inch.
Oh, okay. Just wasn't quite clear on that. Any other questions?
I was just curious, did you receive any more notification?
We got 24 in total on the survey, 10 for, 14 against. The majority of the against were in the eastern part of the road, the newer part versus the old part that was just brought into the city not too long ago. But it was 14 to 10.
Okay, me and Alex went over to walk the street, we knocked on doors, and we came up with 11-7 for it. Then we got a petition that was delivered to us, and we had walked it right after she had done that. And some of the residents were saying that, you know, I don't know who this lady is, and, you know, God bless her for walking the street, it's in the neighborhood, you know. But I think they were being given information that, you know, it's our responsibility and we should replace the whole road. They shouldn't have to pay anything, is what I got from the residents I talked to. So going through her petition and adding ours and subtracting where I got 2 yeses, where she had 2 noes. So if we subtract that all out, I'm at 17-17. So, because we were in there after, and some of her no's are now yeses, unless they change again, you know.
Some of the no's that she had in her petition, we knocked after her petition went out and they were for it. After we explained to them the responsibility of the city, it's not a responsibility to tear out an entire road and redo it, it's our responsibility to maintain
Then
it.
you showed them their amount too, that they
Yes.
would.
Yeah, then we showed them, everybody asked their amount, and I had that sheet with me, and I
Right.
made little notes, we told them all the amounts. So I'm at 17-17.
Did you, figure out yet if you could reduce that interest rate?
Yes, you can. I don't know, I would be careful about how low you go. You know, we have extended this from a 5-year district to a 10-year district. I mean, typically, if you looked at reducing the interest rate real low, you might consider going back to a 5-year district. But at this point in time, I think that what we looked at was 4%, Dave, and I think that that would be perfectly fine.
Well, and also, on another note, most people that said no, all said, we'd love to have a new road, we don't want to pay for it. We'll want a different way to pay for it. So, you know, like I said, I'm 17-17. Pardon me?
It's true for everybody.
Yep, it is.
But you said that.
And I understand that.
12% now? 12 to 6?
And Madam Chair, just to add a little bit, one of the points that came up from the businesses on Telegraph at the last meeting was that they were not connected. There was no benefit to them for the project because their water was connected from Telegraph. We did examine that, and they actually are connected to the Kensington water main. So there actually would be a pretty fair benefit to them by increasing that water main size.
You know, and another thing, and I don't think you realize it, it's a huge benefit to have that new water main, especially with 3 new fire hydrants. To me, that's huge. If you get that straightened up, we can mark it done, it's, you know,
Well, how much are the residents paying for the water line?
nothing at all.
You know, when we say the businesses are gaining a benefit for a water line that nobody else is paying for, I don't know how we can justify charging the businesses. Charge everybody or charge nobody?
Well, I think it just comes out of our,
Well, there's
That's the
no
only reason
charge.
that's the only reason they're on the list.
right.
That's what we're saying, the reason we should put them on the list is because they're getting the benefit of the water, but the whole list has got nothing to do with water. I'm back to, they have no benefit from the project that we're passing cost on to the people who front Kensington.
Right. Well, I understand your point.
But if we took them off the list, then they'd have to have the rest of the residents absorb that cost.
Somebody has to pay for it, sure. I'm just trying to justify charging, when we started the conversation, it was my opinion that they currently don't use it, and if they came to us and wanted to improve their property, we would deny their request and we wouldn't let them use Kensington. What came up after that was, yeah, what about the water line? Dave confirmed that there's some benefit, but nobody on Kensington is paying for the water line. So why would we charge them for something on Kensington that we're not charging anybody else for?
Madam Chair, and Laura's here, she can clarify this, but the reason that we wouldn't allow them to put like a curb cut in there is because the proximity to the corner. So basically, if you can envision turning left out of, if there was a curb cut there, turning left out of that driveway towards Telegraph and having somebody coming off Telegraph turning right, It's a collision point,
I
basically.
understand the reason for it, it's just a fact,
Right,
that
but-
it's a fact, they
but-
can't use it, and they never can use it.
But having a corner lot, there's always real estate value. So while there's no possible usable value, if I understand that argument, there's still value of being on the corner. And again, going back to what is typical with these districts, they would be part of it. And while I certainly understand your argument, contrary to that, I don't see spreading that and burdening the residents even further would be something that I would recommend. It's, you know, I understand both sides of the argument, and it doesn't make it any easier. But again, the water main, you're right, nobody else is paying anything additional for it, but to say that they're getting no value is not accurate. They are getting a value, it's just they're not getting us an equitable value.
I agree.